Abraham. This is Amadi J. Glad you are with us once again. As always, you can check us out on divemedia.co, divemedia.co. All our episodes are located there. Check us out. Our podcast is also disseminated wherever you can pick up podcasts, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. If you're listening to the audio version, please consider giving us 5-star review. We'd greatly appreciate it. If you're watching this on YouTube, just click down below, thumbs up, and subscribe and check us out. All right. And you can check us out on all the socials at This Is Dive Media, at This Is Dive Media. All right. So we're going to keep it rolling. This is episode 8 or 9 or I forget the numbers, but once we get up to double and, potentially triple digits, I'll probably try to have it up on the screen. But we're going to keep the conversation going. Been really having a really, good journey here following the life of the man Abram, who eventually becomes Abraham. Because as we always say here, somebody has to be the first. I want to continue in building upon what we have been, discussing here. And I'm hoping that this is a benefit to you. If it is, send the links to your friends, pass the podcast along. So continuing on this journey with the man Abram, we started off with him and his wife leaving where their family originally were from. And, he took his nephew with them. We talked a little bit about their escapades down in ancient Kemet, a.k.a. Egypt. And, now they're coming out of that and they're headed to, back on their original planned destination, which was to Canaan. But there's a very interesting interaction that I want us to take a look at on this episode. Maybe kind of brief this time, but I believe that the interaction is powerful. And it's in the book of Genesis, chapter 13. As I've told you, if you're listening to this and this might be your first time watching or listening, I choose to follow the God of the Bible. And so these stories and these lessons and this journey that we're going to be talking on will have heavy biblical influence and a lot of biblical references. And so if that's not your cup of tea, I hope you have an open mind because this is my cup of tea and this is what I believe will help us for those of us who have to experience things for the first time. So in Genesis 13, they are continuing on their journey. And the backdrop is, right, Abram was a wealthy man. His family was wealthy. And if you recall, as I stated earlier, in the beginning of this journey, Abram and his wife Sarai, they left, but they take their nephew Lot with them. So Lot joins them on this journey, right? And then they get to a particular place and then conflict arises. So in Genesis chapter 13, right around verse 7, it says that some strife begun to develop amongst Lot's shepherds and his herdsmen and Abram's shepherds and his herdsmen. Some beef started to arise, right? They had some of that ancient smoke, so to speak. But here's the crucial thing, because remember, Abram's wealthy, so he has, more than likely he has servants, people that work for him. And so does his nephew Lot. Lot is also wealthy. And so they're his herdsmen and his herdsmen, they're beefing probably about some of the livestock or the crops or the land, right? But it's human nature that I don't like you in my space or you don't like me in your space. That's human nature. We have to learn to be interdependent. We have to learn to cooperate. And sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. So what ends up happening? There's beef. But Abram does something amazing in verses 8, and you look at verse 9. So rather than allowing the conflict and the situation to continue on, Abram gets in front of it and says, he pulls his nephew aside. He pulls him aside and says, I don't want this to continue. I don't want there to be strife between you and I, right? He says, nephew, come on over here. like an uncle, like nephew, I need to talk to you, right? But he says, I don't want there to be strife between you and I. He does an amazing gesture. He says, you look to the east, look to the west, survey the land. You choose the area that you would most like to go to. I'll let you take it, have it, and I'll just go the other way. That's how much I want peace. That's how much I don't want strife to continue. Lot surveys the land. This is all Genesis 13, verses 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right in that little section of scriptures. Lot surveys the land, and he sees the area adjacent to the Jordan River. It's lush with greenery, right? It even says that the land looked like it had been well watered. Now, if you know anything about ancient history, many ancient cities, if not most ancient cities and civilizations, they usually arise around water, right? There's usually a river, a lake, some sort of inlet to the sea or the ocean. That's just how, ancient cities and ancient civilizations arose. Typically was around water. It's not until you get further along in human history where we got technology and modern innovation where cities can sort of arise where there isn't water, like in the desert, right? Take a city like, Las Vegas or something like that. It's in the desert, right? A lot of water has to be brought to the city, right? That kind of civilization couldn't have arisen in ancient times, so humans were around water. Hence, Lot picks the spot adjacent to the Jordan River that looks well watered, what the scriptures say. And so Abram says, okay, you go there, I'll go the other direction. Now, the blessing here is Abram still goes and settles in Canaan, which means Lot didn't choose the area that contained Canaan, which is amazing because if you remember in Genesis 11, 12, leading up to this point, Canaan is Abram's original destination. That's where he's headed. And so when you look at that, you're like, wait a minute. What if Lot would have chosen the area with Canaan? What if he would have chosen the other area? Then what? Then what would have happened? Was Abram willing to sacrifice going to Canaan all for the sake of peace with his nephew? I believe the answer is yes. I believe the answer is Abram was willing to sacrifice a place that he wanted to go, a place he felt destined to go, if it meant he was able to mitigate the ongoing strife and conflict with his nephew. It's clear that Lot had a very special place in Abram's heart, right? Because he invited Lot to join him on the journey. So Lot must have meant a lot to Abram. And because of that, he's like, hey, I don't want this strife to continue. You mean too much to me. So you know what? Take a look and survey the land. You go where you choose to go. I'll let you have. Abram could have pulled, he could have pulled the big joker for anybody who's ever played spades before, right? He could have said, hey, listen, hold on. I'm the big unk. I'm going to choose. I choose the location and you go to the other side. He could have done that. How many of us have done that before? Especially when we're dealing with people who we think, quote unquote, are beneath us or who are lower than us. What do? We typically put our chest out and say, no, I'm going to be the one to pick. But that's not what Abram did. Abram said, Lot, you choose. You choose, and I will go the other direction. That's powerful. And so because of that, because I believe Abram chose to value Lot and his relationship with Lot, God then chose to value Abram and still allowed his original destination to be set aside and not be selected. It's a powerful testament and a powerful testimony. Why? Because we think of it in modern terms. Most of us, right, who are under the umbrella of sort of Western civilization, right, that many say is the pinnacle of human, civilization. What are we taught to value? Things, fortune, fame, wealth, statue, power, possession. Those are the things that we are taught to value. There's even a saying, people will say this, and many of you have probably heard this before. We will do things to an individual, right? We will allow things to happen to an individual. And then what do we say to them? Oh man, it's not personal. It's just business. It's just business, man. It's just business, brother. It's just business. Why? Because we know we have to sort of buffer the thing that's transpiring, because we know it could be unethical, could be unintegral, or it just could be causing that other person harm. So what do we couch it with? Well, hey, man, hey, brother, it's just business, because I value this thing that I am going to attain more than I value you. But that wasn't the posture that Abram took in this scenario. It's not the posture he took. He valued the person. He valued the relationship more than the potential to gain land or gain more livestock or gain more crops or gain more possession. And it's powerful because Lot is a future generation, right? He's a nephew, so he's a generation back. What do you think that does for Lot's worth? Right? That Lot would think, wow, Abram values me and this relationship more than the potential to take something that appears to be more valuable. So Abram did two things there. Abram demonstrated to Lot how much he means to him. And then he also simultaneously encouraged Lot to have more self-worth. Because if Abram values me this much, wow, that means something. I got to change how I value myself, how I view myself. And we can help to show others their true value when we show them how much we value them. We can encourage others to have a higher self-worth because they see us sacrifice things on their behalf. What are you willing to sacrifice, right? To show another what they mean to you, what their value is to you. What are you willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to sacrifice? So we can show others their value to us and what they mean to us. It's a powerful, powerful testimony that we can show others how valuable they are to us. Now, this is not you're going to put on a cape and be an avenger and save everybody. That's not what I'm saying. No, we have people in our close inner circles, right? You have your inner circle, close relationships, right? People nowadays throw away relationships like they throw away old tennis shoes, like we throw out an old garment. They just discard relationships. But Abram is showing us here, particularly for those close relationships, that I can show this individual how much I value them and what they mean to me by choosing to sacrifice, potentially sacrifice the place that I was headed. You don't think that that may have crossed Lot's mind, maybe? At least once? Maybe not at that moment. Let's a day from then, 2 weeks afterwards, a month later. What if he thinks to himself, man, what if I would have decided to go towards Canaan? I wonder what Abram would have done. Think maybe that thought might have crossed his mind at least once? Because I do. Wow, Abram was willing to sacrifice that? Man, wow. That must mean a lot to him. This relationship must be pretty important to him. So we can do that for others in our circles. We can do that. We can show them what they mean to us. Now you may say, all right, Amadi, I get it. All right, fine. I get it. I got to show the people in my circles what they mean. Okay. I got to show them, what their value is to me. Sure, I get it. But how do I do that? All right, you talking all this good talk and Abram did all this stuff, but how do I do that? It's a wonderful question. It's a question I myself asked when first, confronted with this reality. You ask that question because, as we go along this journey, remember, if we're coming across these things, many of us, myself included, may have never seen this done before. So we don't know what it looks like for another to show someone their worth or their value to them. It's a great question. And this is what I would say. First, what are your close inner relationships? Do an evaluation, reflect, do an evaluation. Because again, like I said, this is not about trying to, become a superhero. No, do an evaluation and reflect. So that's number one. What are my close inner relationships? Who are they? It's not 100 people or 200 people. No. It's not what I'm talking. It may just be 2 people, 3 people, just a handful of people, couple of people. These are my close inner relationships. Right? Now, next, what do those people mean to me? So I've done the evaluation, I've done the reflection, and I'm like, man, I believe that this person, these 2 people, these 3 people, these are my closest relations. These are some of my closest relationships. What do these people actually mean to me? Again, these are questions that we have to answer. No one can answer them for us. I got to do that reflection, do that evaluation, and then I have to be honest with myself. What do those people mean to me? Number 3, do those people know? Do they know what they mean to me? Do those people know what their value is to me? Because sometimes we can have it up here. Oh man, that person means so much to me. I love that person so much, man. They're so near and dear to me. But do they know that? Do they know that? Not is it in your head, but does the other person know how much they mean to you? Do they know what their value is to you? Do they know? We got to answer that question. Then how do they find out? What are we willing to sacrifice potentially so that they know? So that they know what they mean to us. What am I willing to sacrifice? Am I willing to forsake a potential job or some sort of potential financial situation or something else that will benefit me to be able to spend time with them or to do something for them or to build them up, right? Abram was willing to sacrifice a potential location where he was headed. What are we willing to sacrifice potentially, right? To make sure that that other person knows what they mean to me. they know how much I value my connection or my relationship with them? Do they know that? What am I willing to sacrifice for them? Those are questions that we have to ask and answer. Because the stuff that we chase, the things that we want to have, all that stuff will pass away. It will all pass away. And you want to strengthen and solidify those connections and those relationships, not when everything's falling apart and you need some help with something. No, you want to do it when everything is calm. When everything is calm, you want to reinforce, hey, I value you. I value this relationship. I value our connection. It means a lot to me. So that when it does happen, when I need, guess what? These relationships that I have built and solidified, they know how much they mean to me. I can call upon them. You ever had somebody call upon you who you aren't really connected to in that way? Doesn't it feel kind of weird? They might reach out to you and you're like, oh, they called me? They reached out to me? Now, why do you feel that way? Because before that moment, they had never demonstrated to you how much they valued your connection. So when they are in, dire straits, right? Everything's falling apart. The house is on fire, and they reach out to you. You're like, sure, I'll come over, but right? It's happened to me before. It's happened to me. When you get the calls and you get the texts and you get the emails, and you're like, oh, okay. But then there are those who you know what you mean to them because they have already ensured that they've communicated that. They've demonstrated that. And so it's a different, oh, of course, whatever you need, I'll lay down myself for you. I got you. Because we are connected. Do the reflection, do the evaluation. Who are the relationships? What do they mean to you? And do they know what they mean to you? What are you willing to sacrifice for them? I'm going to end with a story here that I hope brings this home. It's a story from my personal life. Haven't shared it much, but I believe it will sort of cement this point. So this took place over 20 years ago. Start feeling old when you say stuff like that. You start saying things like, oh, this was 25 years ago, right? But this is like the early 2000s, right? The man who fathered me in the things of God, the man who really was a father figure to me in, that I believe God placed in my life to be that father figure. We were together at a meeting, and at the time I was having some car trouble, so I took the Metro. The Metro is the Washington D.C. area public transportation system. So it's our subway and all that stuff. That's the Metro. So if you're in the DMV and you watching this or listening, you know what the Metro is. But for anyone outside of the Washington D.C. area, the Metro is our public transportation system. So I had to get on the Metro. I'm like, hey, I got to get out of here because I got to get on the Metro because I got to get home. Because I didn't drive because I was having some car trouble. So I had to leave early, right? And so I said, hey, got to leave early. Don't know if I'm coming back because it was like a 2-day thing. I said, hey, don't know if I'm coming back tomorrow because, again, car issues. And so he says, hey, Amadi, I think it's really important that you're able to stay here for the remainder of this thing and that you come back tomorrow. So he then proceeds to give me his car keys. He says, hey, take my car. He was going to ride home with his wife. He says, hey, take my car. I want you to stay through the duration and then take my car. You can go home and then you can come back tomorrow. And then I'll just give you a ride home tomorrow when we wrap up tomorrow. And I remember thinking at the time, he doesn't know me that well. That was one of the first thoughts I had was like, whoa, he doesn't really know me that well to do something like this. But then you know what was one of the, subsequent thoughts after that? Oh, wow. I must mean a lot to him. Our relationship must be important for him to be willing to let me drive his car. Now, I didn't go joyriding. I wasn't riding all around. I wasn't doing nothing like that. Went straight home, came straight. I think I put gas in the car. That was probably it. Put some gas in the car and came back the next day, right? So I wasn't out joyriding and acting foolish, okay? But it was a demonstration to me because, that could have happened. That could have happened. I could have wrecked it. I could have done anything. But he was willing to sacrifice that as a demonstration to me of my worth and my value to him. So I say that to say to all of you watching, it's not something that should be done lightly. It's not something that should be just done flippantly. That's why I'm saying this is not for every single person you know. This is for your close circle relationships. It's important that they know how much you value them. It's important that they know that and are fully assured of that. And one of the most important ways that you can show them that is by you demonstrating that by, you could sacrifice, lay things down, whatever it is. But your demonstration for that will hammer that point home. It definitely did that for me. And I know it's not easy. I'm not here to tell you it's going to be sunshine and roses, but I am here to tell you that it is possible. And especially for those of us who had never seen it done before, we get the privilege because somebody always has to go first. So I want to thank you all for listening. I want to thank you all for watching. Again, 5-star review if you can. Send the links to your friends, family. Share the podcast, share the episodes. Definitely want these things to be a benefit to everybody who gets a chance to listen or watch. And until the next time, like I always say, no matter what you're doing, no matter what is transpiring, no matter what everyone has to go through, someone always has to be first. So thank you again and welcome.